Why does high-speed rail keep failing in America? The answer is simple: distance and density. The world's high-speed rail network reached roughly 53,000 miles as of 2023. China alone operates around 28,000 miles as of late 2023. America has virtually no dedicated high-speed lines like those in Europe or China. The reality is sectional high-speed running on upgraded existing lines, such as the Northeast Corridor. Why does this gap exist? This slide explains everything. High-speed rail has a clear competitive advantage. That's intercity travel, around 310 miles. Many studies show that door-to-door travel time and service frequency heavily influence mode choice. Direct access from city center to city center. No travel time to the airport. That alone saves 30 minutes. Airports often recommend arrival 90 minutes to 2 hours early, even for domestic flights, depending on congestion. Rail, on the other hand, tends to have simpler security checks and shorter arrival to boarding times. This difference creates a total time saving of around 2 hours. Tokyo to Osaka, 320 miles. The fastest Shinkansen service takes around 2 hours 30 minutes. By plane, including airport travel and waiting, it's over 4 hours. This is a trend demonstrated by transportation engineering research, not speculation. Analysis verified worldwide. And this makes sense. Look at the map. Follow the timetable. Now you understand the competitive advantage of high-speed rail. Today I'll show you that data. 3 models demonstrate the conditions where high-speed rail succeeds. China has built the world's largest high-speed rail network. Total length of 28,000 miles as of late 2023. China's rail passenger volume reached roughly 3.68 billion in 2023, with a high proportion on high-speed rail. Beijing-Shanghai, 819 miles, is connected in roughly the early to mid-4-hour range depending on train type. By linking high-density urban corridors, it generates massive demand. Japan's Shinkansen is the world's first high-speed rail. Since opening in 1964, it has expanded to 900 miles. The Tokaido Shinkansen carries an average of around 400,000 passengers per day, though this varies by year. Its punctuality is known as world-class. High-frequency operation and extremely high reliability attract users. France's TGV is a symbol of European integration. Radiating from Paris, it operates a 700-mile network. High-speed service ridership is reported in annual statements and maintains strong demand. It connects across borders to London, Brussels, and Amsterdam. So why doesn't high-speed rail work in America? First, fundamental differences in urban planning. American cities are designed around the automobile. Urban population density varies greatly depending on whether you define it by city limits or metro area. But in general, American cities tend to be lower density compared to Europe. This low density makes rail economics challenging. Look at the California high-speed rail project. San Francisco to Los Angeles, 500 miles. The latest estimates suggest construction costs could reach $128 billion. This line's projected annual ridership is limited compared to China's major routes. Second, political pressure. In the U.S., lobbying spending by transportation-related industries is substantial. Depending on the year and industry classification, it ranges from tens of millions to hundreds of millions of dollars. They view high-speed rail as a competitor. In federal budget allocation, rail projects are always pushed to the back. Third, connectivity with existing infrastructure. American cities lack public transportation. Even if you arrive at a train station, getting to your final destination is difficult. In the end, you need a rental car. This eliminates the convenience of high-speed rail. Environmentally, high-speed rail is superior. Let's compare CO2 emissions. Generally, per passenger per mile, rail emissions are significantly lower than aviation. However, figures vary based on power source mix, load factors, and calculation scope. This must be understood with conditions, not as representative values. Energy efficiency also tends to favor rail. This comes from differences in air resistance and weight. Trains run on the ground, so they don't need to generate lift. Airplanes must constantly fight gravity to stay aloft. But there's a reason this environmental advantage isn't leveraged in America. It's the balance between construction costs and demand. High-speed rail construction costs vary greatly by route conditions. In China, construction costs roughly $25 million per mile. But in Europe, and especially America, it costs several times to 10 times that amount. In California, it's estimated at over $160 million per mile. Recovering this cost requires high demand. Profitability is determined by a combination of not just population density, but metro area population, travel demand, journey time, construction costs, interest rates, fares, and station access. High density is one favorable condition, but it doesn't guarantee profitability by itself. However, America does have a success story. The Northeast Corridor, Washington, D.C. to Boston, 454 miles. Amtrak's Acela and regional trains operate this section. Together, they transport over 12 million passengers annually. This represents the majority of Amtrak's total revenue. Why does only this route succeed? First, a continuous high-density urban corridor. Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York, Boston. These cities maintain high population density without interruption. Second, leveraging existing infrastructure. This route is an upgraded version of railroad lines from the 19th century. There was no need to build from scratch. This drastically reduced construction costs. Third, business demand. This corridor concentrates America's financial, political, and academic centers. Distance and time that make day trips possible. This generates stable demand. But even the Northeast Corridor has challenges. Sections where the maximum speed of 150 miles per hour can be reached are limited to less than 10% of the total length. Average speed in many sections is comparable to conventional rail. The Northeast Corridor is one of the most favorable corridors. However, multiple other corridors are being considered and targeted for development under federal programs. The constraints facing high-speed rail in America don't exist in isolation. They reinforce each other. The tendency toward low-density urban planning limits demand. With low demand, recovering construction costs becomes extremely difficult. And this lack of profitability becomes the reason political support can't be secured. Look at California high-speed rail again. This project was approved in 2008. The initial budget was $33 billion. Current cost estimates could reach as high as $128 billion. Why did it balloon this much? Land acquisition costs. California's real estate prices are among the highest in the world. The cost of acquiring land for the rail line inflated to 3 times the estimate. And lawsuits. Environmental groups, landowners, and local governments opposed the project. This delayed construction and further drove up costs. Transportation-related industries exploit this chaos. They criticize it as wasteful spending and demand budget cuts. Their lobbying efforts reduced federal support. However, in recent years, there are signs of change. Since 2021, the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act has expanded the investment framework for intercity passenger rail in the U.S. Planning and funding have advanced in multiple corridors. Brightline West, which broke ground in 2024, is one of them. This private project, connecting Las Vegas and the Los Angeles area, keeps land acquisition costs down by using the highway median. It aims to open by the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. The reality that nationwide deployment is extremely difficult hasn't changed. But it's also true that some corridors are moving forward. Now, let's organize today's analysis. Here's the summary. First, the clear competitive advantage of high-speed rail. For intercity travel around 310 miles, direct city center to city center access and the difference in recommended airport check-in arrival times tend to create an advantage in actual door-to-door time. Many studies show that travel time and service frequency heavily influence mode choice. China, Japan, and Europe leverage this advantage to capture high demand. Second, environmental performance advantage. Generally, emissions per passenger per mile tend to be significantly lower for rail than aviation. While figures vary based on power source mix and load factors, the direction is consistent. Rail also has an advantage in energy efficiency, and from a climate change perspective, shifting to rail is a logical choice. Third, America's structural barriers and new developments. Urban population density varies by definition, but generally tends to be lower than Europe, making demand projections challenging. Construction costs vary greatly by route conditions, roughly $25 million per mile in China, but several times to 10 times that in Europe and especially America. And lobbying by transportation-related industries impedes political support. These three constraints function in a chain reaction, making nationwide high-speed rail deployment extremely difficult. However, since 2021, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act has expanded the investment framework, and planning and funding have advanced in some corridors. If you were an American transportation policymaker, how would you decide when faced with these structural constraints and new possibilities? High-speed rail is the future of transportation in the right places. But in the wrong places, it becomes extremely difficult to realize. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. This channel analyzes global transportation, economics, and geopolitics with data and logic. Facts, not emotions. Deepen your understanding. Subscribe and explore the truth of the world with me next time. Turn on notifications, and new analysis will sharpen your judgment even more. See you next time.